My daughter-in-law once looked me straight in the eye and said, "You're worthless." Those words cut through me like a knife. I stood there frozen, unable to believe that the woman my son chose to spend his life with could speak to me that way. But what she didn't know was that life has a way of turning the tables. And when the lawyer opened his mouth that day, it was her face that turned pale. Because those very words she used to humiliate me came back to haunt her. I'm Margaret, 62 years old, and for most of my life, I've been the type of woman who gives more than she ever takes. My husband passed away 10 years ago, leaving me to navigate life alone. It wasn't easy, but I managed. I raised my son Daniel with everything I had, making sacrifices no one ever saw. I worked 2 jobs, sold family heirlooms, and went without new clothes or vacations so that Daniel could go to college and build the future he dreamed of. When Daniel met Emily, I thought my prayers were answered. She was beautiful, smart, and full of confidence. At first, she treated me politely. She called me Mom, she'd bring me flowers on birthdays, and she smiled at every family dinner. But slowly, as their marriage grew, the mask slipped. Her smiles became smirks. Her words turned sharp. And eventually, she began treating me as if I were a burden, not a blessing. It started with small jabs. "You know, Margaret, you should really learn how to dress more modernly. Or, maybe it's better if you don't give Daniel advice. Times have changed." I bit my tongue every time. I told myself, she's young, maybe she'll grow up. Maybe she'll see all the love I have for her. But the more I tried to keep peace, the more she pushed me down. One evening, I came over for dinner. I had baked Daniel's favorite apple pie from scratch, just like I used to when he was a boy. I placed it on the counter, smiling, remembering his little hands helping me peel apples years ago. Emily walked in, her face hard as stone. She looked at the pie, then at me, and said, "You know what, Margaret? You're worthless. You bring nothing to this family. You're just clinging on because you have no one else." I swear the room went silent. My son opened his mouth, but no words came out. I stood there, the pie trembling in my hands. Worthless. After everything I had done. After every night of tears, every sacrifice, every prayer for his happiness. Worthless. I left that house that night with tears streaming down my face. I didn't call Daniel for weeks. My heart ached, not just from her cruelty, but from his silence. He didn't defend me. He didn't protect me. I felt truly alone. But life has strange ways of revealing truth. Months later, I received a letter from my lawyer. It was about my late husband's estate. For years, I had left things untouched, focusing only on raising Daniel. But my lawyer informed me that the house, the land, and even the small business my husband and I once ran had all been left in my name. More than that, I had the right to decide what would happen to those assets after my death. At first, I didn't think much of it. But then, something happened that changed everything. Daniel and Emily came to visit me. Emily was unusually sweet, bringing flowers and smiling like she used to. She sat next to me, holding my hand, her voice dripping with sugar. "Mom, you know we've been thinking, maybe one day when you're ready, the house could be passed down to us. It would mean so much to Daniel." I looked at her, and I remembered her words. "You're worthless." I smiled faintly, and I said, "Emily, do you remember the night you told me that?" "Because I do." Her face went pale. She stammered, "Oh, I didn't mean it like that." But the truth was out. She hadn't seen me as family. She had seen me as disposable. Weeks later, my lawyer called us in for a formal meeting to discuss the estate. Emily walked in with confidence, dressed in designer clothes, her chin held high. I sat quietly waiting. The lawyer began reading, explaining how the estate would be handled, who the beneficiaries were, and what rights I had. When he clearly stated that I alone controlled the inheritance and the future of the estate, Emily's smile froze. Her eyes darted to Daniel, then back to me. And that's when the lawyer said it, firmly and without hesitation. "Mrs. Margaret is far from worthless. She is the sole heir and decision-maker of this estate. Without her, none of this would exist for your family." The color drained from Emily's face. She looked like she had been slapped. For once, she had no sharp words, no smug comments. She sat there shrinking in her seat as the truth sank in. I didn't gloat. I didn't raise my voice. I simply said, Emily, I may be quiet. I may be old, but I am not worthless, and you should never mistake kindness for weakness. From that day on, Emily changed. Maybe out of guilt, maybe out of fear, or maybe because she finally realized the weight of her words. But I didn't change for her. I changed for me. I stopped allowing myself to be disrespected. I stopped shrinking to keep peace. And for the first time in years, I felt powerful again. To everyone listening, remember this. Sometimes the people closest to you will try to define your worth. They will try to make you believe you are less than you are. But never forget, your value is not in their hands. It's in yours. So let me ask you, if you were in my place, would you forgive Emily for calling you worthless? Or would you let her sit forever with the taste of her own words?